and other solutions that we'll talk about. Please put a Q or a question mark in front of any questions you might have. Sit back and enjoy. Hey y'all, it is Thursday. And I've actually made a few lives here in a row, so I am super excited about that. And it's good to see a lot of people in the chat already. Got some real exciting things to talk about tonight that I'm super excited about, and hopefully you will be too. Carrie, looks like Carrie was #1 in here tonight, and he's pulling up the boat to the live stream and still listening to Crazy Ketos. So I guess they got a live right before mine, so that's cool. Definitely support everybody in the community here. Amy says hello. And Carrie also hit the like button 1 trillion times. That's why I saw all that stuff coming up on the screen. So that's awesome. So, and Carrie says, I got rid of the big digital clock that I had in my bedroom with the big orange digits, and I've noticed a difference when I get up from sleeping. So yeah, that makes a big difference. That's something that I never would have thought about until it was brought to my attention many years ago about EMFs. And even, it could just be the light too, but for sure, for me, when I got rid of it, I didn't have, and even, I didn't even throw a cloth over it or whatever, just so I'd still have the alarm, but not the light. And it seemed to make a big difference for me. So glad that worked for you too. So, and Juliana is in the house. I'm so glad that you're here. You're recovering from surgery, so it's good to see you in here. Hope everything's going well. Hey, Amy. And hey there, Lynn. Glad you can make it too. So 2 Crazy Ketos had an early live. I don't know what time they normally do it, but anyway, I know Dustin last week went to a meetup in Indiana, I think it was, and they were there, so he was hanging out with them and everything. So I want to start out tonight. There's a few things going on, and let's see if I can bring this up here. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is, I've talked about a lot of supplements and things like that. I've started this Heal Your Gut series. A lot of that has to do with supplements. And I wanted to bring this up here. This is an article that came out. Well, it was a news video actually that came out, and NBC News covered this. So the risk of liver injuries rise in the United States as supplements grow in popularity. And so the article, and I'll eventually figure out how to bring the article up on here as well. But basically what the article was about is that turmeric was the cause of this. I'm gonna pull it up. I've got it right up on my screen. Y'all bear with me for 1 second. I just don't know how to kind of go between these seamlessly, so I'm gonna do it not seamlessly. How about that? I'll throw this up on here. And so basically what this is saying, and now that I brought it up like that, I can't read it. So y'all bear with me. I'm gonna get this thing down eventually, hopefully. Let me just pull it up so I can read it here. You can probably read it good on your end, but I cannot. But there's a few things in this story, and of course, if you're taking natural supplements, you're a lot less likely to take things that are trying to be sold to you by some of the pharmaceutical companies, because number one, it's a lot cheaper. Number two, it's been proven over thousands of years of use. But basically, it says that he had this cocktail. He did a supplement regimen that included fenugreek, DHEA, ashwagandha, L-carnitine, nitric acid. He continued for years without incident. About a month before he got sick, he added turmeric pills to the mix with the goal of reducing inflammation. Now, one thing about turmeric and curcumin that you need to know, and I mentioned this if you happen to see it on my video about the way to heal your gut is I mentioned curcumin, and the curcumin that you wanted to get was the pure form with nothing added to it. So what's happening is curcumin, only 1% of curcumin is actually absorbed by the body. The rest of it stays in the gut. So this is one thing that should tell you that if you've taken curcumin and you had inflammation in your knee, for example, there's no way if it stays in your gut until it's released, and only 1% of it is actually absorbed, that tells you there's something else going on, uh, in the way that works versus, the benefits that a lot of herbs and other medicines have, where it's absorbed into your system, absorbed into your bloodstream, and then can go all over the body. Well, this stays in the gut. So the issue with this, and why I always say that if you're on blood thinners, please talk to your doctor before you start turmeric pills or curcumin extract or anything like that, is because I just want to make sure you're safe when you do stuff like this. If you get one that they add black pepper to them, they add a lot of things to increase absorbability. You don't want the absorbability. You don't want it to absorb more into your bloodstream. So if you go to the store, it's really hard now to find any of the pills that aren't supplemented with something else. And this one in particular, they actually did mention this in there. It also contained black pepper extract, which increases the absorption 20-fold. And you don't want the absorption when you're taking turmeric. You want that to stay in your gut, do its thing in your gut microbiome, fix the problems that it's supposed to fix, and get out. You don't want it absorbed in the bloodstream. And yes, it's super dangerous. And it doesn't say, and they won't say whether he was taking any sort of a blood thinner or any other thing like that, because their goal is to get you to click on it and read it, and do what they tell you to do, and just go to the doctor and get on your non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and all the things that they want you to take and stay on forever, instead of getting down to the gut of the issue, so to speak. So you'll see a lot of things coming up like that. There was they've added, they've got a whole cocktail of things in turmeric, and that's what I always like to say. If you're taking any kind of supplement like that, please get that book with the drug vitamin interaction, just to keep yourself safe. Your doctor should be able to look it up as well. If they won't look it up for you, then find a new doctor, because chances are good they're trying to keep you as a customer instead of trying to fix what's wrong. So they can look these things up for you. Get that book, look it up yourself, do a little bit of research. But if you're doing curcumin, please check the packaging and make sure that it doesn't have the things to make it extra absorbable. The black pepper do just curcumin, and it is harder to find. But I just thought that was interesting. That just came up today in my feed. I've got a feed kind of set up where it'll bring the things up about the keto diet, herbs, supplements, the carnivore diet, all the things that I talk about. And so I get a lot of things about supplements, a lot of good benefits to that. So I wanted to pull up another thing that just popped in today. I'm going to go through some of these comments real quick. Normally does it at 8:30. They were at an RV retreat. Okay. It's scary how unregulated supplements are. Yes. The FDA does not regulate the supplements in any way. So it's really important when you're buying supplements to find a company that does independent third-party testing. The traceability is important, because a lot of imported herbs, there's really no traceability. It's kind of like olive oil. If you've got an olive oil that you buy that's not a single source olive oil, in other words, if you go to Sam's and buy their regular olive oil and you look on the back of it, it'll have 5 to 6, 7 different countries on there. Well, so the Italian olive oil might be pure olive oil. The one from Tunisia might be mixed with a seed oil. Might be light olive oil. Who knows what it is, because there's zero traceability. They take them all, blend them in a facility, and call it a day. And I think the number is something like 80% of the olive oils in the country are not pure olive oils. Even if it says extra virgin, you want to make sure it says single source. Well, the same thing with supplements. If they're imported, they could be 1% of what you think you're getting and 90% fillers or other herbs. There's just zero regulation in that. Some of the Chinese supplements were banned that were coming into the country because they found arsenic and other things in them. And without regulation, traceability, and as a self-regulated industry, you really have to do your research and find a good company. Gaia Herbs is one that I got to visit up in North Carolina, and they do all the traceability. You can scan a QR code on their packaging, tell you exactly what harvest it was, what part of the farm that it came from, and everything. I mean, it's a first class operation. And there's a lot of them like that, and a lot of them will send them out for testing too. But it really is a totally self-regulated industry. And when that happens, that's why you see on the back, this hasn't been proven by the FDA to be true, and it's a nutritional supplement. So they can't make any claims about them, but at the same time, it may not be, especially if it's one of the cheap ones, that may not be exactly what you think you're getting. So it definitely is scary. So my series actually started 2 weeks ago. I did the first video. It was called, let me pull it up here. I did the follow-up video this past Tuesday, 2 days ago. And that one was called How to Fix Your Gut in Under 4 Weeks. And the prior one was well, now I can't find it. Oh, carnivore or keto diet not working. Fix this now. So that was kind of an overview of it. I actually got into the series this week. And since you brought that up, this is Dr. William Davis. This is a best-selling book. The first time I ever heard of him was a book called Wheat Belly. And if you haven't read that, that's kind of what started my re-examination into low-carb dieting and why wheat and grain is so bad for you. And, fiber is great for you. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But, the wheats and grains, the gliadin protein, and just the engineering of those over the years, you can call it genetically modified if you want to, because that's basically what they did. Is they take a plant that was 5 feet tall, turned into 18 inches tall, so they can get more wheat off of it. And it's a totally different thing than what it was, and it just does not react with the body well. And so anyway, just found out a little while ago, Dr. Davis is going to be on here next week. So any questions that you have, please text them to me, email them to me, find me on Messenger or Facebook. Any questions you got about super gut, the super gut on the keto and carnivore diet, any kind of questions you have for him, just get them to me. And I'm going to have him on live, and then I'll have some of those questions prearranged. And then when y'all come on here, make sure you ask him those questions live as well. So, and I'm doing this every Tuesday. So week 2 is coming out this coming Tuesday. Week 3 will be the following Tuesday, and then week 4. And normally my beginner's keto series, I did do this, but I try to kind of break up the content a little bit. But I feel like this is such a cutting edge thing that hasn't been studied nearly enough, that we've known about for a long time, but not the capacity of where he's brought it to, and a lot of the other researchers are now coming out with. This is the medicine of the future. This is the health of the future. This is a total transformation in a lot of people's health, with or without keto and carnivore. And in fact, some of the ways that you may have done keto and carnivore may be the reason that you're not seeing improvements. We'll talk about that too. But anyway, next Tuesday, the 5th, right? The 5th, let's see. Next Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday. The video's coming out Tuesday for week 2. Dr. Davis will be on here next Thursday night at same bat time, same bat channel, 7 p.m. I'll be broadcasting it here and to Facebook. So YouTube and Facebook, I've started putting this out to Facebook as well. Might end up doing it to X at some point, but we'll see. So Donna is in the house. Hey, Donna. Hey, thank you. I just I was kind of late getting home, but I tried the butter olive oil, which is killer. I tried a tiny bit of the darker balsamic, and that white balsamic is awesome. I mean, that's some sweet stuff. So thank you for that. That showed up in the mail today, so that was nice to get. So I appreciate that. That olive oil I hadn't had anything like that. So hopefully, like I said, it was a single source, but if not, it's still delicious. But anyway, I really appreciate that. Let's see. Stephanie says, "Hey everyone, just tuned in from working out. So what kind of workout were you doing tonight? You doing some lifting? You doing some cardio, or what are you doing?" Sherry's in the house. Hey Sherry, late and catching up on 1.75 speed. I can only imagine how bad I sound like a chipmunk. But anyway, thanks for watching. Pinky, JoJo in the house. Hi all, just finished up having dry rub chicken wings for dinner. Now to relax and listen in. Well, welcome. Hope the wings were delicious. Just ordered the Super Gut book, the Lugol's and the Omega-3 that you recommend. They should be here Monday, and I can get my gut back to health. Awesome. And yeah, make sure you're here next Thursday. You'll be able to ask him questions directly and get it right from the source. You know, I've gotten comments on the L-Reuteri video about, well, you don't necessarily have to put the inulin powder in, and well, you can do this and this and this. Well, to me, I trust the guy that wrote the book on it and the guy that says if you leave that out, you don't have nearly the amount of microbes. So I'm not going to go messing around with the recipe because he's got the equipment to test it with. I don't have the equipment to test it with, and so I'm going to take his word for that, and you know how it's worked for me personally, and you know all the other people that I've seen the comments from, and that it's helping change their lives and everything too. So the L-Reuteri, and then this four-week protocol is what he outlines in the book. And so I'm just going through that part of it. But in the book, there's a lot of other things that I'm not going to get into on the channel just because it's a little deeper dive and less rare things than what I think a lot of us struggle with. So I'm kind of keeping with a basic overview. But if you've got some deeper problems, there's a lot of different protocols in the book. There's recipes in there. I'm doing, for the week 2, I did a sauerkraut, show you how I'm making that. And there's a big difference in the sauerkrauts you buy in the store and the sauerkrauts that you can make yourself. You can buy some in the store as long as they say raw, unpasteurized, or they say something like probiotic on it. But once they heat them up and pasteurize them, you lose all that beneficial bacteria. That is why you want to eat fermented foods in the first place. And most foods, most pickles that you find in the store, they're just soaked in vinegar. There's no probiotics in them. There's nothing beneficial for your gut in there. A lot of that's been lost at the ease and convenience of having stuff that'll sit on the shelves for years. And once you heat them up and can them, it's the same thing. So we're talking about raw fermentation here, something that you leave on the counter to ferment, just like what I was talking about with kefir. You can buy a kefir, set it on your counter for a couple of days, and let that bacteria just multiply and multiply. Then you've got a product that's actually going to do more benefit for you, or make it yourself. But anyway, so you do that, and then once it's fully fermented, you just keep it in the fridge, and then it won't kill any of the bacteria that's beneficial to you. Lynn, that is absolutely correct. Pharmaceutical companies pay these manipulative companies to trash health. There's the biggest advertisers. I mean, I don't watch the news. I get these things in my news feed that have to do with what I want to know about. I could care less about all the other stuff because it's just, no matter what side you're on, it's manipulated one way or the other. And if it's something super important, I'm gonna find out about it through friends or whatever. Um, I just choose to keep that negativity out of my mind, which helps my positive mental attitude a whole lot more than constantly having that negativity pumped in. That's something I learned from Dr. Weil. That's one of the things I want to do on this channel, is have different people and different experts from all over. I mean, not just keto and carnivore. I mean, I want to get Dr. Weil on here one day. He recommended a news fast. I had a point in my life when a lot of things were going on. My dad had died. A lot of things had happened, and I was going through a really, really kind of dark patch. And was reading one of his books one day. He recommended a news fast. And he said, look, don't watch the news at 11 o'clock and go to sleep to that, because that's what fills your mind. Fill your mind with things that are going to be beneficial. Pray, do whatever you want to do that's not the negativity like that. So, and that was some of the best advice ever. So let's see. I got that yellow and green box of the thing is Kaizen fusilli. Interesting on Amazon, they don't show that box. Yeah, they don't. You have to order that one directly from the company, as far as I know. And I actually got a discount code from them. I just haven't done a video with it yet. I'll probably do maybe a mac and cheese or something with that. But I did get a discount code for that, so I'll share that pretty soon. Might go back and make the old macaroni and cheese recipe that I did. That I use that great low carb bread company, but a lot of people have problems with that, with blood sugar and things. So I haven't used it really since. And this one, you always have to just kind of check yourself. Everybody's different, right? Kerry, that's a great point there. I've got a company here in Texas where it's real olive oil. They grow the olives and make the oils here. And California is great about that too. I'm assuming on the East Coast at some point that we'll maybe we'll have the climate to do it. At least a greenhouse or something. There's people I know in Florida that have olive trees and things, so it's probably could be a thing. And those are two great places in California. They are traceable. They all seem to be above board, and you can go on any of their farms and check out what they're doing there. Hard to find really good olive oil without spending a fortune, it seems. There's a good one in source, but with Sam's, this is like hit or miss. Sometimes they'll have some good ones, sometimes they don't, and it just, when you hit them, what you can find. And even Aldi's got some good ones, but they were more on the expensive side. That's why they're it's not cheap like making seed oils. And you're right, it is expensive. Just check my curcumin, and it's probably pronounced curcumin, but we make our own rules around here. I just checked my curcumin. It has black pepper and MCT. Go figure, because they want it to absorb. My question is, how do I make your keto flour self-rising? I mean, the only thing that you could do really, because we're not using gluten, is just more baking powder. You could do that. With keto things, you're not really going to get a rise like you would in traditional breads or anything like that. So, even either the donuts that I made, the bagels, they puff up great, and you can kind of mitigate some of that falling if you'll just open the oven door a little bit, just crack it and kind of let them get down to temperature in the oven instead of pulling them out and letting them cool that way. But there's really not a great way to do it. I mean, you're talking about yeast and gluten, or what makes things rise, and you got neither. You can do yeast just for taste, but it's not really going to have that same effect. So they'll probably modify something in the future to make it where it'll rise, but I don't know of a good way other than, like I said, just crack the oven door and try to let it cool as slow as possible. We see how that ended up. John says, I'm currently reading Supergut. That's an excellent book. And, you know, I kind of nerd out on stuff like this, so I don't mind it if a book is not as easy to read. Sometimes I've got a bunch of them that are like that, but this is an easy read. He does it in a way using, like, I like to use metaphors in my videos when I explain stuff, and he kind of does the same thing in that book. And it's just an easy read and really fascinating. A lot of things that you'd never think about, you know, the gut being responsible for. And it goes back to what I was talking about one of the previous weeks. You know, 25 years ago, we were doing candida cleanses and things like that, thinking the main problem was the fungus. And now the science has evolved to the point where now we know there are some fungal overgrowths and things like that. And that's usually your worst symptoms. But some of the things that are happening are just simply because of bacterial overgrowth and bad bacterial overgrowth taking over the good stuff. Then not having the fiber for that to feed on the gut microbiome, killing that off by various methods, whether it's poor diet, alcohol, birth control pills, antibiotics. There's a number of reasons it can happen. Mine was from a round of antibiotics. And so, and it just makes a huge difference. And I showed the graph in my video about the amount of studies that are now being done on it, and how we now know how very important that is. We do not agree about the turmeric. Not sure what you mean. Do you mean you think it should be absorbed? Because I think that's where you run into the problems. Awesome. Thank you, Lynn. And yeah, I'm going to get back to some good recipes. Y'all don't worry, but there's been a lot of stuff that has gone on with me personally, and I get a lot of emails and stuff. People don't always want to comment on videos, even though, like, Lynn, I know who you are, but like if somebody sees your name, they don't know who you are on YouTube until you get to know who you are. But even with that, people just don't want to comment, and they'll always email. And I get a lot of things like that. And a lot of them I won't get into. A lot of them say, please keep this private, and I do. But if not, I always share that. And there's just been a lot of issues going on, and a lot of dogma and things within the community, a lot of just craziness going on. And my goal is to keep up with all the science that's going on, and science always changes. And if it changes and it tells me that the keto diet is not the right way to go after being the most studied diet, and I was going to pull up another thing that it was 2 days ago. Matter of fact, let me just do that. But if I ever find out that the keto diet is not the best way, then I'll change, you know, what I'm doing if the science proves it. But I think with over 100 studies that have been done now that show that it is the healthiest way, not only to lose weight, but fix health conditions. You know, all the studies on epilepsy, just so many things that have been done. Which diet lowers blood pressure more, keto or Mediterranean? So Mediterranean is something that's been talked about forever. And it's always, you know, media loves to promote the Mediterranean diet. Okay, it's just a fact, and it's very rare. And this was actually from BYU. This was a study done there, which is probably the reason it made it out. But anyway, it basically said that keto or Mediterranean, either one, were great. They basically did the same thing for blood pressure, but the keto diet actually lowered the body mass index, or it was better for weight loss. And so that was pretty big. Let's see. So that's just something that doesn't come out every day, that you don't get to see that. But you can go to PubMed, and that's the National Institute of Health's database, and you can go in and look up studies. And I would challenge you to do that if you're interested in it. You want to see what's really happening. You can go in there and check it out. Type in something at the top that you're interested in. It'll pull up all the studies. And if you don't want to read through all of it, you can go to 2 sections, and it'll tell you basically what you need to know. You have to dig into a lot more if you really want to do that. But if you go to the part at the bottom that says, if there is the ethics section, it basically states from the authors of the study or the scientists that work on the study if there are any companies that might benefit from this work. And a lot of times, if you dig a little deeper, sometimes there are indirectly. And then you can go down and also just read the summary of the study. And most of the time, they're pretty accurate, but you can go to and look at how many people were in the study, if they were metabolically healthy in the beginning, if they were type 2 diabetic in the beginning, sick, well, whatever the case is, if it was self-reported, which are the worst kind of studies, because basically with those studies, people will write down, like they'll most of them are 2 years. So what did you eat in the last 2 years? Well, if you can remember what you ate 2 days ago, you're doing pretty good. I mean, I kind of eat, forget it, move on to the next thing. But a lot of these things are self-reported, so kind of look at that too. But anyway, Lynn, I just felt like there was a lot of stuff that I kind of wanted to get out there and put out there. And it's kind of been weighing on me lately too about, and this happened the other day, a friend of mine actually tried a dessert that I made. It was the lemon dessert. And I told Dustin about this the other day too, and he's like, "Well, your friends are much less likely to support you." But the funny thing is, when the channel was called Best Body Blueprint, before I had anything about keto on it, they did try some stuff, and then started doing keto, and for whatever reason, it may be the dogma associated, where you'll go in and not know anything about keto and say, I did this, and then somebody's like, well, that's not keto. And a lot of people, I think, just get tired of things like that, and just are like, well, if this is how this is going to be, I just don't want any part of it. And so I've kind of been thinking back to the way I started the channel, where I just wanted to make healthier versions of standard American stuff, and it just happened to be keto. And keto was, at the time, there were a lot of keto people that were watching those videos and like, oh yeah. And so I'm like, well, I'm just going to change this to Southern Keto. But at the same time, I feel like I'm excluding a lot of people that may not necessarily be keto, but if they tried one of these recipes and like, oh, and then they find out it is keto, they're like, oh, well, maybe keto is not so bad after all. Maybe I can have like that lemon dessert instead of, the 2,000 calorie Ben and Jerry's with syrup and, all the fruits and, everything on it. I can have stuff like this and eat a little healthier. Whether it's keto or just reducing your carbs, it's going to do good for somebody that's on a standard American diet. So I've just been trying to put out more information like this that might be able to help a broader spectrum of people, because you can go on something called Google Trends and just find out how many times people are Googling something, right? And so if you look up the keto diet, it reached its peak right around 2020 for obvious reasons. People were sitting home, didn't know what was going on, were gaining 30 pounds. Like, how can I get this off? You couldn't go to the doctor's offices. And so people were looking for a natural thing. Well, ever since then, it has sloped down like this. I mean, it's almost fallen off to where it was, in 2015 or even before, when nobody was talking about it, when the last great weight loss drug was out, right? Now that you've got where you can go in and take an injection every week, and why eat healthy? I can just do that, eat whatever I want to. Somebody real close to me, I won't name any names, but before I started with this supplement brand that I got, which I got some good news on that too, but so I did the mate video, and I was talking to somebody, and we've been trying this other program because I want to make sure it would work. before I started talking about it. And then I started looking at the studies, and Ben Bickman's a part of it. A big YouTuber is coming out with a video next week that is going to blow you away, that has done research on this product. And I can't say anything other than that, but it's going to be crazy. But it's the mate product, and then it's got a fiber aspect to it too. So it's two packs of the mate every day, which raises GLP-1, and then the fiber product, which helps your gut bacteria and keeps you full, and it just helps. But anyway, somebody close to me, before I started with that, she's like, well, I wish I'd known about that first. Is started doing the shot, and the side effects already after 3 weeks are awful. Like, she's eating a piece of string cheese is all she can eat, and feeling sick. And when you can't get nutrients into your body because you just can't eat, something's wrong with that. And if you can't see it, something's really wrong. But I wanted to try that because I know a lot of people are not going to eat keto. A lot of people are not going to eat low carb for whatever reason, maybe because they don't want to. But if you could take that intermittent fast until 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and then eat normally, well, you're still skipping 2 meals of crap. So even that is going to benefit you a whole lot more. To the people that won't do keto and low carb, I know y'all are, you know how to do it. And sometimes we may not do it, but you know how. And some people are not, they're not interested in knowing how, not going to do it, not going to change the way they're doing it. So anyway, we're doing that. But I want to put some of this information out there and hopefully reach a wider audience, and just suck people in, trick them into doing keto and low carb and just eating a whole lot healthier. Standard American diet, just by lowering carbs altogether, or not snacking between meals, I mean, people would be healthier. Are they going to fix a lot of health problems that way? No. But, baby steps, right? We all kind of started in different ways, but, the tiny steps taken over time lead to miles and miles and miles, and getting to where you want to go eventually, right? So, Kathy, Gaia Herbs is 2.5 miles from me here in Brevard. Cool. Yeah, go check it out one day. You can do a tour, and it is fascinating. And great people there. So, John says, tomorrow's the last day of my sugar fast diet. I'm going to do some water fasting and then start Dr. Davis's protocol. Well, good. I'm glad you're stopping that. I look forward to seeing Dr. Davis on your live. I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to learn a lot. Hopefully you all learn a lot, and we'll all get this thing right together. So, yeah, Donna, thank you so much. And Donna, put that down in the comments for anybody. I don't know where. Well, you told me where you got it. I just can't. I don't have a link to it or anything like that. So, just let people know where you get that from. The butter olive oil is crazy now. Kind of makes me want to melt some butter and mix it with the olive oil now and bottle some myself. There you go. 30 minutes of cardio and 10 minutes of jumping help improve my bones. So are you doing some rebounding maybe? Rebounding is awesome, not just for bone health, but for lymph health as well. I got a rebounding trampoline out in my building. I got to dig that thing out one day because I used to enjoy doing that. It was just kind of fun, and plus, I could see the neighbor peeking through, trying to see what in the world I'm doing, jumping up and down, because we got some bushes that kind of separate the property. And there's a lot of trees, but like in the fall, when all the leaves are gone, you can see over here. But I just kind of glance over and be like, yeah. So yeah, rebounding is awesome. I should make a video about that one day too. That's great for your lymphatic system, and it's great for bone health as well. So the Lugol's that I like is the 2% Lugol's iodine drops, and I use myself 2 or 3 drops. I'd start out with 1, and if you got any thyroid issues, just look into that. But there's plenty of videos online about that. I'm not going to do a dedicated iodine video, but I do recommend it. I like it, but like anything else, consult your doctor. I am not a doctor. Figured out I can use my dehydrator if I take out all the trace. It goes on to 105. So with the super gut yogurt, which is a blend of 3 different bacteria, so it's the L. reuteri and 2 others, or you can get a commercial probiotic, and just kind of research, and two, if you got any questions for Dr. Davis about that, that's perfect. The L. reuteri, you don't want it to be over 100 degrees. Body temperature is where it's at its best, but for making the one that contains some L. reuteri, but also contains the other probiotics, you want it to be 106, so 105 would work perfect. But what will happen, it'll kill off a little bit of the reuteri. So I just add a bigger reuteri capsule more in it. I've started using the my reuteri tablets instead of the packets I used. And so I just use a bigger amount just to get a little more reuteri in there. But you can use either a probiotic, or I'm going to do that video probably. I've already made the video. I just got to edit it and put it out. But 105, 106 is where you want to be on that type. And then the L. reuteri, you want it to be at 100 degrees. 98.6 is really perfect. That's where it thrives, is body temperature, but 100 degrees is what he said. Dr. Berg actually did a video on it a while back. He did his at 99 degrees. But if you overdo the L. reuteri in there a little bit, if you're using the capsules, you probably did the packs that I did to start with, but it'll work fine. It's just going to be as many bacteria in there, and it just multiplies. It's like, if you've ever heard the old thing, like when you were a kid, like, well, I'll give you a penny every day and double it for a month, or I'll give you $1 million. Which one would you take? And I'll take $1 million. Well, if you took the penny doubled every day for 30 days, it's $5 million, or over $5 million. And he talks about that in the book. But so the first few hours, 36 hours is the amount of time that you're doing it. The first little while, you're not having much activity in there. It's doubling. So it's like the 1 penny to 2 pennies, 2 pennies to 4 pennies. Well, then once you get to that 30-hour mark, and it's just going crazy. And then the 36 hours is because at the end of the 36 hours, there's more die-off happening, where some more of the bacteria dies off than what's being multiplied and created. So he did all the testing to figure out that 36-hour window, but that would work. That would work for that. So just started drinking unsweetened almond milk with sugar-free cantaloupe enhancer drink packets with chia seed. Is drinking almond milk okay with keto? Thanks. Yes, I drink almond milk. It's hard to find a cleaner one, and especially if you're not doing the super gut thing, then it's probably fine. But during that, and it was real hard with heavy cream. Like, I got a raw milk dairy near me, thankfully, but in the store, it's real hard to find any heavy cream. If y'all know one, let me know down in the comments. It's real hard to find any without gelling gum. Gelling gum seems to be what the organic companies are putting in there now to thicken it. And then my old standbys from Walmart and Aldi use carrageenan. But if you're trying to rebuild your gut, you want to kind of avoid that. And there haven't been really any studies done on gelling gum or acacia fiber is fine. That's a prebiotic, but some of the gums really haven't been studied a lot. So he recommends just staying away from all of it. So luckily, I got a raw milk dairy near me to get cream from without any added thickeners. But to me, normally, if everything's going fine, we drink almond milk. I keep almond milk around here, so I would say yes on that. Just get as clean as you can, or you can buy the bags and make it yourself. I may do a video on that one day too, because I just enjoy making stuff like that from scratch. So I think it's just kind of fun. Hey there, Nolene. Ireland is in the house. I appreciate you watching, and I'm glad you love my videos. So hopefully I have some good stuff. And like I said, I'm gonna get back to some more of some more desserts and stuff. This Saturday, I've got a note meal coming out. I did a short on oatmeal and, made some people mad. Some people know where I'm coming from. I did a fruit one that made some people mad. Some people knew where I'm coming from. But anyway, so I'm doing an oatmeal replacement on Saturday. That's a whole lot healthier and not going to spike your blood sugar either. I think the reason why we do not agree about turmeric is I use it for inflammation, so I want it to absorb. You need the black pepper and oil for it to do that. I don't have gut issues. Well, the thing is, it works, and all the studies that were done on it for inflammation were done with pure curcumin, and it is only 99%. It is 99%. Never leaves the gut. Only 1% is absorbed by the body, and it still works. And that's the amazing thing about it. And that may be a good question for you to ask Dr. Davis next week, because he explained that in his book. Back 20, 25 years ago, there was no, to my knowledge, we always talked about curcumin or turmeric, just as eating it either in Indian foods, or there was no absorbability even talked about then, and it worked, and we recommended it back then. And so it's really, really interesting. So that'd be something good to ask him about, because I'm sure he can explain it more than I can. He probably knows the dynamics of why it works, but it does work. And that's the weird thing about it, is why it works and how important that the gut actually is, and how it really communicates with the rest of the body in ways we don't even know yet, because you can take that, get rid of inflammation without it ever being absorbed into your body. So that's the cool thing about it. Dr. Weil is a cool person. I think I have some books. Not having a TV has helped me a lot. Yeah. Yeah. There's not much good on TV. I did watch Yellowstone. I enjoyed that, but. Oh, okay, cool. There is an olive oil company in Georgia, grown in Georgia. That's awesome. Yeah, Donna said I started buying the avocado oil at Sam's that I recommend using. And I think that's the only one I'll buy now. And I had problems early on in that. If y'all have seen the old video about how to fix your broken mayonnaise. So I came up with that Duke's mayonnaise, and it did fine because I bought that, because I go to Sam's, but then I bought some olive oil somewhere else. And I didn't really know that was a problem at the time. I just figured out how to fix it. But then I've switched sometimes to the avocado oil from Aldi. It broke in the mayonnaise, but then that one just seems to work fine. And some of the other ones would work fine too, which is why I didn't correlate the two together for a long time. But that is a good brand, and if you're making mayonnaise with it, it's going to do the trick. Yep, that's right, Carrie. And yeah, because good olive oil is never going to be cheap. Oh, that's cool. I'll make a paste out of turmeric called Golden Paste from a recipe developed by an Australian vet. Use it for years for both me and the dogs. Kept Nevada jumping until she was 14. That's awesome. I know your dogs are well taken care of. Up here in Alaska, our selection of olive oil is very limited, so hard to find a single origin olive oil. And Costco's got some single origin too. So that's awesome. I don't have I got a Costco near me, but my Sam's is like 15 minutes from me, 10 to 15, depending on traffic. And we ain't got a lot of traffic. The other one's probably closer to an hour with all the traffic. And so I just have the Sam's membership. So that's what I'm talking about. I've got a link to one in the video coming up on Tuesday, and it is harder to find. I'm not sure if it's cheaper for them to do it that way. Why the absorption thing is a bigger deal now? I'm not sure exactly why they do that. And yeah, Old Yeller is rest until I get another recipe. So I think I used Old Yeller in the note meal, but I can't remember for sure. As a nurse, so many people get really upset when we deny using antibiotics for everything when they don't need them. Too many antibiotics are not good. Absolutely. Yep, people don't realize antibiotics don't fix the virus. That's right. Georgia olive farms source olive oil sourced east of Mississippi. Just took a side road once to get off the interstate and just happened upon the olive trees. Oh, cool. Well, I'll have to check that out next time I get down that way. Thanks for doing this on YouTube. I'm so glad I found you on here. It has helped me a lot. Well, I'm so glad, Marcia. Appreciate you being here. $12.30 in Ireland. Any sign of you writing a book? Not yet. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but that one is not happening yet. I'm following along with Chris on his cookbook journey, and Chris Cook in Nashville is doing a cookbook. If y'all didn't know, and so I'm keeping up with him on that. And I've got a couple cool things coming out. There's a website that's going to come out soon. They'll have my recipes on there where y'all can print them out because I know people have been wanting that for a while. I've got an app that I've been working on developing for like 6 months now. That's in the works. I haven't talked about that until just now, other than Chris knows about it. I talked to him about it, getting some ideas from him too. But so those are the two things I'm working on right now. And then after that, figure out, use Chris to figure out what I should and shouldn't do with the cookbooks and all that. So anyway. Hey there, Delilah. Welcome. Nancy, there's really no set amount. You'll just have to play around with it per the recipe. If you'll watch my biscuit video, they rose pretty good. Adding in, I think I added in a little bit of additional baking powder in there, but depending on what recipe it is, like I said, they rise pretty good. If you watch the donut video, watch the bagel video, they'll rise, but then they deflate. So it's just something you'd have to play around with. That's what I do when I come up with them, and a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, it's going to stay this time. It's going to be a bagel that's that thick, and then it ends up being like that. Still tastes great, but until I found your YouTube channel, I had stopped desserts. Had no idea I could still eat them. Well, that's awesome. That was exactly my intention in the beginning, and then I kind of, switched it over to keto, and so then I get a lot of flack for that. People say you shouldn't have any sweets on keto, and people say you shouldn't have this and that on keto, and hey, you do you. People are doing a lot worse stuff than that, eating the standard American diet. So I feel like if I can impact somebody's health in a little bit of, even a little bit by, choosing one of those desserts instead of a standard American dessert, then I sleep fine at night like that. I started keto 5 years ago when COVID was rising, got tired of eating junk food and made better choices. Awesome. So keto, thanks to you, I enjoy my sweets. Dessert makes life fabulous, within reason, of course. Yes, always. Yeah, I haven't come up with a keto dessert diet yet where you can just eat keto desserts. So if that ever happens, that'd be awesome, but I don't feel like it will. So no rebounding yet, just jumping from the ground. Hey, that works just fine. I love my rebounder. It really does make me feel better. I seem to have extra energy. Do it about 4 or 5 times a day, but only 10, 15 minutes tops. No craziness for me. I'm too lazy. That's the cool thing about it, because it kind of helps you do the work, because this is it's a tiny but tight trampoline, so you get the benefits for the lymph nodes of the vibration. It's not real forgiving where you're just bouncing up and able to do flips and stuff, but the rebounders are pretty cool. Yeah, I know what you meant, Delilah. So, a friend of mine gifted me trace iodine. Good one. I'm not sure what that is. Is it part of like a trace mineral supplement? Let me know. Milking almonds is utterly hard work. Yeah. Might have to use that in the video if I ever make an almond milk from scratch. Because basically it's, almonds and water and a bag to strain it and all that good stuff. So maybe I can milk the little almonds in there too. That'd be fun. Hey there, Lady Laugh a Lot. Coming in late, but I'm catching up. Started the yerba mate drink. I think it's helping. Thanks for the info the other night. Yeah, you were very welcome. And that mate helps. Unfortunately, that one is sold out, and I was going to show you all this. So I had Shannon Davis on a couple weeks ago, and I've been talking to her on and off, about different things over time. And I told her about my yerba mate video that was coming up, and she's like, "Oh, well," she said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this product?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "Tell me about it." So basically, what it is, and I've got it here because I'm now starting to promote it after my wife's been doing it, and I've tried it myself just to make sure, and it's actually got more energy in it than the mate drink that I've been doing. But they're sold out of that mate drink right now. I think y'all must have sold them out of it. I got a couple cans left myself, but so anyway, this is the system that you get. It's got 2 boxes of the it's called Unimate. So it's got 2 boxes of that. So you do one of these before breakfast, you do one before lunch, and then this balance is the fiber supplement. And so they're in these little packs. So it comes like that. And if you're having trouble, and then a shaker, because you got to shake that mate up. But anyway, if you're having trouble with intermittent fasting, especially, this stuff is fantastic. That's got more chlorogenic acid in it than the mate that I did the video on. And so you're going to get more GLP-1 increase out of that. And so I really wanted to do that product to help people that are not going to do keto and low carb to be able to intermittent fast. And, it's like $159 a month. You can buy it on Amazon too. It's like $229 on Amazon, I think, or I've got a link. You get $75 off buying it through me. But anyway, she told me about it, so I signed up for it. I bought the whole, I bought a bunch of them, and so I'm selling those. And you can sign up with my link and just get it automatically delivered to you through that. But it'll pay for itself if you got somebody that can't, even if they can't skip breakfast, they're going and getting a Starbucks coffee in the morning, and it's $8, and this is $5 a day. So it'll pay for itself. Plus, if you are having trouble intermittent fasting, the fiber supplement really kicks it up, and that's something I can't duplicate because it's got a patent on it, a worldwide patent on it. So it's also available in 60 countries. So all the people that have emailed me about, well, I can't get the yerba mate powder in my country, especially Australia, New Zealand, Canada. It's where a lot of my viewers are from, Ireland, UK. So you guys can get you can get that. I don't know cost-wise what that equates to for you, but it's supposed to be about the same. It just got blurry. It's supposed to be about the same worldwide. So if that works. That work? Nope. Y'all let me know if I'm blurry. But anyway, I've got a link. I'm put that link in all my videos. But if you got friends or anything that won't or can't do keto or low carb and are thinking about doing Ozempic or something like that, tell them about that. Send them the link. And anyway, Kelowna brand heavy cream only has cream. But the reason I had that, I was going to tell you the study that came out that I just got the study sent over to me about yerba mate. So I didn't have a chance to screenshot it, and I don't even know what I'm doing to screenshot it. So, man, this looks bad on my screen. Hopefully it's just on my screen. Researchers found that yerba mate consumption led to a significant increase in the activity of GLP-1, a hormone that helps regulate blood sugar levels both at the gene level and in the bloodstream compared to the control group. Interestingly, there was no impact on GIP, another hormone that impacts weight. But anyway, Research suggests that yerba mate shows promise for managing blood sugar and metabolic disorders. And of course, the further research is needed to understand how it works with the gut bacteria. So all this stuff's kind of interconnected. You know, if you get down to it, kind of all goes back to that gut microbiome. I have a Vitamix, and making almond milk is easy. Well, we need to talk because I need the easy one. I know they got those bags and stuff, and so I just don't know. I haven't really looked into it further than that at this point, but I might need to, just because of the stuff that they put in them. Because a lot of people are going to need to do away with a lot of the thickeners that they use too. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And the Kelowna brand, I think you told me about that the other day too. I looked at. I haven't been to Whole Foods yet. I plan on maybe stopping by there at some point, just looking around so I can suggest to people where to get it. But I tried to look it up online and just couldn't find anything about it in my area anyway. So I want a Vitamix so bad. I live about 45 minutes south of the corporate headquarters. Yeah, me too. They're expensive. I would like them. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Organic turmeric, olive oil, fresh ground pepper, make a paste. Okay. Cindy is in the house. Cindy, I just had that cutting board out today. And I was going to cut on the back of it. And I'm like, no, I can't even cut. Can't even cut on this. I had to use my old cutting board. I can't. That was such an awesome gift from you. I just can't bring myself to cut anything on it. So it's just on display. It's going to be in my videos, but I can't bring myself to cut on it. It looks so cool. And everybody that's seen it was like, wow, that is awesome. So appreciate you being here. I made your recipes for coconut cream pie bites, Oreo fudge, and your no-bake pumpkin cheesecake so tasty. Friends ate them all up, no issues at all. Awesome. But yeah, you probably didn't tell them they were keto either, because they might have been like, oh, keto, I don't know about that. It's not gonna taste good until they know. Yeah, you go. We'll support you. Thank you, Paula. Paula, you've been supporting me for a long time. I appreciate you sticking around this long from the old days of the Best Body Blueprint. So yeah, Nancy, check that out. So I wish someone would come up with a kefir recipe that's low carb. I have so much information. I do the turmeric paste without coconut oil, black pepper, cinnamon, helps a lot. One thing about kefir and fermenting is, or culturing, is a lot of the sugar is eaten up by the microbes. That's the reason when I made the drinkable version of that Rooterai yogurt, I used the ultra filtered milk that was low sugar, so that there would be really no lactose in there for it to eat. So it's already the lowest in sugar that you can get, the Fairlife milk, so I'm talking about. So it's already really low. And so, a lot of that is eaten up. A lot of the sugar is eaten up by the process of making that. And as the yogurt thickens, it's using not only the prebiotic fiber, but also the sugars to feed off of. And you are absolutely right. Keto police aren't serving or protecting. So, but yeah, Shirley, if you look at the nutritional information on the back of like a prepackaged one in the store, and do what I was talking about, and leave it out on the counter for a day or 2 days, so that bacteria will have a chance to eat even more, then it's going to thicken up and it'll have a lot more usable, probiotics in there. Robert, it is going good. How you doing? Then use the leftover almond as flour. Yeah, sounds like I need to do this. I hope it'll work with my old Ninja. If y'all have seen this old Ninja that I use, it is nasty looking. So Ernest Julia Primo, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Yes, thank you. Oh, there's my buddy John. Yes. Yeah. So, um, yeah, John's a friend of mine from way back, and one of my best friends, and we worked together for years, and he's awesome. So anyway, he had called me about my my video on the yerba mate drink, and I'm like, man, you need to wait a couple of days till I get my box of this in, because it blows that away because of that fiber thing. And I won't tell your story, John. If you want to tell it, you can, but um, that's up to you. But it's gonna do you real good. So, and we'll go out and eat a steak together here in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. So the bottle states it's an ionic iodine. Taste is the brand name. That's something I'll have to look up, Delilah. Just message me over on Facebook, and I'll look it up after I get done with this. I got to set up this live stream with Dr. Davis as soon as I get done with this one, so it's out there and everybody can see it. And then after that, I'll be going back and checking all my messages and stuff. So just message me, and I'll look into that one for you. Okay, Trace, yeah, that's what you said the first time. So, um, let's see some information about the baking powder. Yep, you're blurry. That's what I was afraid of. It's probably better that I'm blurry. Probably look better that way. Let me see. So I don't know if it's this camera or this internet connection, but I apologize for that. See if I hold something up. It's focusing on that fine. Oh, that's all I had to do. It's the phone. Must be the EMFs. There we go. That's better. Thank you, Donna. Greetings from New York City. So glad to finally catch a bit of your live. I'm going to increase the playback speed to catch up. I don't recommend it. I'm going to sound like a chipmunk, or like a country chipmunk. So, but Kathy, good evening, Kathy. I'm glad you made it here. True that, they had no idea it was all keto food. Seeing they have stomachs made of iron, no problem. Right. Nolene, good night. I'm sure you'll check this out later, but good night to y'all. John says the Unimate and Balance have made 16-hour plus fasting easy all week with plenty of energy. Awesome. Yeah, I meant to text you today, but I had a job for the hospital, and then I had a job for Liberty Hall that I had to clean. So I've been like wide open. I was glad I was able to make it on here tonight. But yeah, I meant to text you. I know I texted you the first day, and I meant to text you today and see how it was going. But yeah, I know you're gonna notice a ton of huge differences there. Yeah, Jackie. See, I know it made me look better. So anyway, it is 8 o'clock. Does anybody have any questions about anything? If you do, now is a good time because I'm finally caught up with all these comments. And like I said, definitely don't miss out next week. William Davis is going to be on the show. I say show. It's going to be on the live. And so that's pretty cool. And so any questions you have, either send them to me on Facebook, Instagram, put them in the comments of this video if you're watching this on the replay. However you can get them to me, do that. I'm going to put a bunch of them together in advance, so I've got questions to ask him when he gets on. And then other than that, just come on and ask him yourself. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm going to go set that up here in just a few minutes so it's out there. And if you've got anybody that you know that you think that would help with the, healing the gut microbiome, please share that link with them. I'll have the link out there on, I'll have the link out there at least on YouTube and Facebook, where you can just click on it and join whenever it goes live. So anyway, if that's all you got, guys, I'm going to jump off, and I appreciate everybody being on here, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. It's going to be an epic one with Dr. William Davis, and make sure you check out my note meal recipe on Saturday. Hope y'all have a great week, and I'll talk to y'all soon.